ونستغفره ونتوب إليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. I seek refuge in Allah from the rejected enemy Shaitan, with Allah's name, the most merciful benefactor, the most merciful redeemer. All praise is due to Allah alone. We praise Him, we seek help from Him, we ask forgiveness from Him, and we repent to Him. We seek refuge in Him from our weaknesses, our deeds by which we succumb to through those weaknesses. And I bear witness there is no deity except Allah. He's independent. He has no need of assistance. He's without want. And He is the sole creator of all that is. And the interpreter of all that is. He gives it meaning, gives us the meaning of all things. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant. To Him, He serves His Lord, He serves Allah. He serves Him with His whole life. He served Him with His whole life. His thinking, his motion, his doing was to serve Allah. He's His servant. And He's His messenger. He's a messenger to mankind, to us. That not only is He the servant of Allah, He's the messenger to mankind. And as it says in the Quran, He's the seal of the prophets. So after Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we need not have looked for any others to carry out anything in terms of giving us more than what we got from his time. And we need not worry about someone else, another kind of angel, or another kind of messenger, or another kind of prophet, or another book. Muhammad was the seal. That tells us that Allah is letting us know that the responsibility for developing our own human nature and our human society rests on us. It doesn't rest on someone else to come. It doesn't rest on waiting for the great, whatever name we want to give Him, whatever name the Christians give the great, whatever they want to give it. Allah is saying when He said Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the seal, the last, the conclusion of what man needs from his own brethren to give him an idea, a concept of what I intend for him. No, Allah says it's all here in the Quran. What I intend for man, Allah is saying when He says Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His messenger and his the seal of the prophets, He's saying it is all here in the Quran. We want to continue pretty much where we were last Jumu'ah. Those who attended, we talked about several things, but one main thing we want to look into is commitment and what that means. in terms of what we talked about and in light of what we are talking about today. When Allah says, Kul inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati wa lillahi rabbi alamin. He's saying that, say, and this he's talking to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, say, my prayers, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are for Allah. Now that's a commitment we all make. We all make. If you read the Quran, you can't help from making that commitment. If you read the Quran, you can't get by that commitment, because that's where it is. It's in the Quran. And it's made in different forms, because Ibrahim was the one who was actually making the commitment first, because he told his father that he turned himself away from what they was worshiping as God. And he turned to the one who has created the heavens, Samawati, Ardi, the heavens and the earth. He's the creation, all that is. That's the one he served, the one who created all of that. And Allah instructed Prophet Muhammad to follow the path or the way of Ibrahim. So when we see that kind of commitment in front of us, it gives us a chance to start digesting and understanding what we need to do as human beings in today's world. First thing we need to know that the world we've grown up in, those of us who have matured, young children have not yet matured enough to really understand the world. And some of them may be 19, 20, some may be 30, some may be 40, and some may be 60 and still not understand the world we're in, still not understand the time we're living in. So if we're going to take the time, we have to take the time to know the time we're living in, or we won't never ever understand our purpose in this time. If you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, how are you going to do it? It's an avenue that we have to travel down, and if we don't travel down the avenue of understanding, then we're going to be lost. We're going to be lost in the grasp of someone else who understands that duty you have. You will be lost in the grasp of someone else who understands the power you have. And we will be lost in that grasp, and they're going to use our energies, use our knowledge, use our efforts in order to better their lives, in order to build their heaven right here, their garden right here on this earth. Don't think for 1 minute this is not a paradise for some people who are using it. This is an absolute paradise for those who never have to think about spending money. You know, there's some people in this society that don't even have to worry about going in their pocket to see how much something costs. They go where they want to, they pick up what they want, and they do whatever they please. You can't ask for a better heavenly condition than that. They're living in that kind of environment right now. If they decide to go to Egypt right now this minute, they call the airport and get in their private jet and go. And if they change their mind by the time they land, they say, let's turn around and go back. And don't worry about how much money it costs. They sit down and eat whatever there is to eat, and if it's not there, they say, go get it. They'll want for nothing. They want for nothing. Just imagine now if you wanted for nothing. What would you call this world? You would have to call it a heaven. You would have to call it a paradise. Because you would have everything you want. You would have everything you yearn for. But when you look on the other spectrum of this world in which we live, and Allah defines it clearly for us, that the other end of the spectrum is a condition of want, is a condition of need, is a condition of got to have, is a condition of want to get, can't get, don't know how to get, and suffer from not getting. That's the hell. So we're living in a condition that's both heaven and hell. But what Allah promises the believers, those who do deeds of righteousness, he says that the new or the next heaven or paradise that he has for the believers is going to be shared by the believers. Only the believers. We have some evil people can share in this heaven. People who are known to commit murder, known to commit lies and destruction, and they still share in this heaven. But that kind of mind won't share in the heaven that Allah has for the believers. And he says that heaven can be earned very easily. Not so much as by you have to do a qualification, have to take a test or any of those kinds of things. That heaven is a heaven you earn through your deeds. And Allah makes it simple. Through your good deeds. And usually we begin deeds by first helping ourselves. By not becoming a burden to ourselves and our family. If we are a burden to our family, or even ourselves, some of us are a burden to ourselves. We can't get out of the way of trouble. We can't seem to get out of the way of poverty. We can't seem to get out of the way of ignorance. We can't seem to get out of the way of those things we think that are holding us back, are holding us down like we're cemented to the earth. We can't seem to get ourselves motivated. We can't seem to get ourselves on a course that talks about progress, on a course that talks about a little pleasure in the world. We can't seem to get out of the way of ourselves. And then there's some, we are a burden not only to ourselves, we are a burden to those around us. They have to care for us. They have to feed us. They have to give us money. You know, when you go down the street and you see people out there begging, they're begging because they are a burden to the culture. But their burden may not be from their own doing. Because we know that this world we live in plays a lot of tricks on people. Some of the people may be suffering from problems, mental problems. Some may be suffering from addiction. Some may be suffering from all these other kind of addictions too. But they still present themselves as a burden. See, this is what we have to avoid, especially as Muslims. If we wake up and find ourselves in a burdensome condition, then our number one goal and objective is to work our way out of that. Our number one goal is to work our way out of that, and if we can't work our way out of that by going to work for someone else, then we'll create a job for ourselves. Don't you know all the jobs you see on this planet Earth? All the businesses was created by somebody. Allah didn't create those businesses and say, oh, here, you go into General Motors. Here's AT&T for you. Here's such and such for you. He didn't do that way. He allowed it to happen. He said, I'm giving you the power to go into the earth and pull out of what you think you can use, what you can imagine. And I'll give you what you need to do that. And there's some who got that message very early in man's history. There's some who got that message very, very soon after man crawled out of the water and started crawling up under to the earth. After man started becoming a human. After man beginning to recognize what he was here for. Some of them got that message early. Some of them got that message, if I go into this earth, I can go in there and pull out a piece of wood. And if I hit that wood against this stone hard enough, it's going to create a spark. And if I take that spark and put it with another piece of wood, I can create a fire. Some of them realize that early, that in the earth is what we need. In the earth is what we can take out of the earth and build the heaven we want on this earth. Some recognize that very early. And some never recognized it. Some watch the fire being built and say, oh, they think it's magic. And soon as one sitting on the sideline see people think that it's magic, they see one that can be controlled, manipulated, simply by talking to them in that way. Oh, this is magic. Let me show you how this magic works. And what you get in this world we have now is a whole lot of ideas and concepts about magic, about flying creatures, about things with jumping from land to sea, all these kind of things that don't even exist but only in the mind of man and in the words we pass from each other. But they come out of that dark thinking. They come out of that ignorant thinking. Because once we get into the light, we begin to understand that those things are just symbolic. We begin to understand the reality of things. When we get into the light, like the sunlight, that's a sign. Allah tells us about the sun. Shams. It's a sign. It's a sign to let us know that knowledge dispels ignorance. Like the sunlight dispels darkness. When the sun rises, it uses these kind of terms. The sun rises, and it rises to its zenith. Then it sets again. It's talking about the human being. It's not talking about the physical sun. It just uses that as an example. Because the physical sun doesn't move. Once we got a knowledge of what really is happening, we understand that it's the earth that's rotating on its axis. It causes that what appears to be rising. So Allah used that to teach us, to give us some understanding, give us some idea about what is happening in our world. He said, when you get knowledge, when you get understanding, that will shed some light. That will shed some light on your life. It will begin to help you build a heaven that you want. It will help you build what you need. Once you start getting knowledge, once you start getting understanding, that's the sun. You know, Allah shows us so much in the Quran. And he says that Quran, Brother Imam talked about it last week, about the Quran, how long it took to reveal the Quran. Allah revealed the Quran to Prophet Muhammad in stages. And at each of those stages, there was an enlightenment, an elevation, an elevating of the mind, an elevation of the spirit. And the main thing we want to know and understand that Allah revealed the Quran on Prophet Muhammad's heart. Now, do we see that as a physical? Or do we understand what that actually means? You know, one of the main principles in Islam, one of the main pillars of faith is faith. Is faith. And faith is not about knowing. Faith is not about knowing. Faith means that your intellect, your mind, your rational mind has gone as far as it can go on this issue. Your rational mind has went to the whole limit. I can't figure out who God is. I can't figure out where God is. I can't figure out what God is. I tried it with all my intellect. You know what? I got to do as Ibrahim did. I just believe that there is a God. I just believe that there's a deity who created all of this. That's faith. Faith is talking about the heart. That's what it means when it says revealed on the heart. The Quran, the understanding of the Quran was revealed on Prophet Muhammad's faith because he was a faithful man. He had faith that something was going to come better than what was happening in his environment. Something was going to come better to his countrymen. Something was going to come better to the situation. He had faith in that. So Allah revealed the Quran to him because he had faith. And this is the way we should look at the Quran. We should look at the Quran knowing that we don't have all the answers. But Allah has guidance in this Quran for us if we have faith. If we have faith. And he revealed this Quran over a period of 23 years. And he revealed it in the Arabic. There were two very important points in that action. The Quran being revealed in 23 years. When you look at the time, you look at the 2 and you look at the 3. If you look at 2 and 3 and add them together, it equals 5. It equals 5. What is the basis of the human being? What is the foundation of the human being? The foundation is 5. The foundation is 5. The foundation is 5. We have 5 major senses that we stand upon. The sense of smell, the sense of taste, sound, speech. All of those are the foundations on which we stand. 5 foundations. Allah is saying that this Quran will answer your foundation, will answer your logic first. But don't let your logic be the only thing that you're bound by. Because those 5 senses also represents the 5 pillars of Islam, which deals with faith, the belief in Allah, His messenger, fasting, sadaqah, hajj. These are pillars that Allah is saying that we stand on these pillars with this Quran, and we cannot go wrong. We cannot be misled. We cannot be misled in the world of knowledge, the rational mind. Why? Because Allah says apply your rational mind to whatever they tell you. Whatever you read, whatever you see, apply your rational mind and use the Quran as your basis. Use the Quran as your basis. Use the Quran as your argument. Allah says argue the point, but argue from the basis of the Quran. And use your 5 senses to do it with. Don't let someone project you into something, oh, that doesn't matter. If it doesn't make sense, if it's not rational in a logical way, you can't follow it to a logical conclusion, then you should be saying that. You have people nowadays talking about they give their whole self to the universe. And they put into the universe an idea, a concept, and it comes back to them because the universe is answering them. See, they get this kind of thinking from a people who don't have faith in a creator. They have to put their faith in something physical. They have to say the universe because the universe is physical. They can see the universe. They can see the universe, and because they can see the universe, they say the universe is my answer. The universe is my God. That's the same old tale that they was telling during the time of Abraham. Ibrahim. The universe is no God. The universe was created by Allah. The universe is a creation that's based on logical laws, based on particular things that measure out. The universe continues to evolve on the law that Allah had created on it and in it. But people believe there's something they can get from the universe. There's some people who think they can get something from a rock. They think they can get something from a rock or something that material. That's because they don't have faith. They're faithless. They're faithless. To believe that there's a creator that you cannot see. To believe there's a creator that you cannot touch. To believe there's a creator that you cannot define. Believe there's a creator that you cannot add up mathematically. To believe there's a creator like that is faith. That's all you have to go on is faith. And a believer has faith. This is what makes a believer. A believer has faith in Allah. And it's that faith is what a believer builds on. And it's that faith what makes us godly. The ungodly don't have faith. And the world we live in has been produced predominantly by the ungodly. And we know that the world is not a complete world in terms of it's the final world that Allah has chosen for man. Allah allowed man to build this. Allah says to Shaitan in the Quran that he's going to give him respite to the day when the new time, the judgment comes in. And the judgment we're talking about is what's happening in America today. You know, America has lost. Now, many might not see it, but America has lost her battle. America has lost her battle. We're living in a country that is dead. That is dead. But when you understand the difference between life and death, then you understand that. What causes life? What causes life in a culture of values? Values, visions, morals. All those things are what causes life. And you can look back in history and find there are other countries that was big like America and died. Read the history of Egypt. Read the history of the Ad people and the Thumad people. Read the history of these people. They all were powerful and up until their values fell, until they start losing their values. And once a country loses its values, it begins to decay from inside. And America has lost its values. You have women trying to be men now. You have men trying to be women. You have drugs running rampant in the street. It got so, they allowed it to grow when it was happening in the African American community and other communities, but now it's happening in the Caucasian community, and now the governor is coming on television talking about, help us save our children. They wasn't saying that when it was predominantly African Americans and Hispanic people in the streets on drugs. They wasn't saying that then. They were saying there's a problem with these people. These people have been raised improper. They don't have mothers. They don't have fathers. They're no good. This is why they're on drugs. This is what they were saying. But now that their children are hooked on that drugs, they come on the TV and say, look, this is a disease. It's not the people are bad. They just have a sickness. Help us with this. When the tables turn like that, you know that the end has already come. The end has already come. America's only hope is that a new thinking rises in America that holds to values, holds to moral commitment, hold to the things that keep a society alive and give new life to a society. Right now, America is in trouble. And we know it's not whole to that when that concept of the Arabiya having 28 letters in it, in the alphabet, those two numbers, 2 and 8, represents 10. 10 is a complete number for a culture, a society that's full of life. 10 represents a whole man. 10 represents your 5 principles and your 5 senses. It's a whole number. And when you look at America, America has lost it. She doesn't even know what to do. And now you have a government and a leader of that government whose morals have been just dissipated. You have a leader of a government who confessed that he grabs a woman in her private parts. Treat women as garbage. This is when you talk about leader now, we're not just talking about the guy on the street. You're not talking about the guy who's in the bar over there. You're talking about the absolute top. You talk about the leadership. And if the head is thinking like that, you know what the rest of the body is doing. This is why you see women now are beginning to try to avoid this kind of thing that they got them in. They say somebody has to help us because this country has gone crazy. Somebody has to help us because they won't even let us get a job unless they make us lay on the couch with them. Somebody got to get us out of this mess. And the only thing they're able to call on now is the government, and they only got this confidence to do this when they tried to come against Bill Cosby. You know, that was a whole other scheme when they tried to get Bill Cosby. It wasn't about morals. It was about tearing down the image of African American people. Because the African American people had a hero in Bill Cosby. The family could look at, any African American family could look at the Bill Cosby show and feel good about African Americans becoming doctors and lawyers and doing great and doing wonderful in the society. So what some Hollywood schemer did, some swift lawyer did, said, let's tear this down. Then the African American ain't gonna have nothing to stand. Once we tear this down, then we can feed them stuff. We can feed them empire. We can feed them other programs that just don't show any good in the African American moral consciousness. And they tore down Bill Cosby with much less evidence than they got on these guys today, than they had on the president. He admitted to it. The president admitted to it. Yeah, I grabbed him, he said. But what happened is that other women of other ethnicities say, you know what? Maybe I could speak out now too. See, they wasn't expecting this. This wasn't what they was trying to do. But the women got courage because they saw other women coming against Cosby, and Cosby was big. Said, well, maybe I could come against this dude because he's been pulling me in the room every time I come down there. So you know what they did? That guy tried to rape me. That guy tried this, that guy tried. They're coming out of all out of places, all out the woodworks. These guys are running for cover now. They're running for cover because they unleashed a consciousness in the people to come against that kind of attitude, to come against the immorality. In a way, I guess we can thank them for doing what they did, and women can, especially because now women can feel a little bit safer in this environment. But the main point of the day's talk is that we want to make sure that we begin to identify with faith, with values, with moral consciousness, and human excellence. That's our key. That's our key. That's the Muslim's key. The Muslim's key is faith in Allah. The Muslim's key is accepting values, and all the values in the Quran. We follow these values of the Quran. It builds a moral consciousness. And we then have the power to bring in a new world under Allah. So with that, we want to take a short pause. How we doing? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. The Quran is our God, is our direction. But we have to have faith in it. And we have to constantly go to it and bring out of it what Allah reveals to us in it. Every time you go to the Quran, if you have faith in the Quran, and I'm not saying anyone doesn't or doesn't, but I know one thing what it says you have to have faith. And the Quran will open the eyes of those who have faith. And those who don't have faith will take the same ayat and go wrong with it because they don't have faith. So having faith is the key. And the Quran is the guide. Zali kitabu la rayb fi huda is the guide. The Quran is the guide for us to develop a moral consciousness, develop human excellence. And that's what we're about, human excellence. If you're not about human excellence, you are in the wrong religion. You're absolutely in the wrong religion. The other religions are not about human excellence. You got the Khazars who call themselves to be Jews. They're not about doing right. They're about taking what they can. They're about deceiving the world. They're about corrupting Christianity. They're about doing those kinds of things to make themselves big. That's a different kind of religion. And there are people who do that. There are people who belong to different kinds of mafias. And those mafias are religions. Some of them are Catholic, some of them are other kinds of things, but they say they believe in their God and their God giving them power. Or they wouldn't be able to do the things they do. But if any of us think like that, we're in the wrong religion. This religion here, Din al-Islam, is about the establishment of peace. Peace with the creation, peace with the Creator, and peace with all our brothers and sisters on the planet Earth. Bringing the human essence back together. Bringing man into one again. And following the guide that Allah has for man. That's what the Muslims' objective is. Our goal is that. Our goal is not to go to sleep. Only reason we sleep at night is so we can get energy enough to go back to work the next day. To help building this new thinking, this new world. You must see yourself as part of a new idea that comes from old ancient revelation that Allah revealed early man. And it was covered up by the world. And it had to be resurrected. The same as the concept about Esau resurrecting Lazarus. All those ideas and concepts are talking about human essence. It's talking about the natural man. It's talking about the man that Allah created to go in the right way. Just think to yourself, Allah would not have created man to go wrong. He created man to go right and gave him the guide by which to go. And we thank Allah so much for being able to do some of the things that He's blessed us to be able to do. And we want to thank the brothers and sisters who also were part of and helped to develop what we did here in the masjid, painting and bringing about the carpet and so forth and so on. This is just the beginning. We got more to do. We got more to do. This is not the end. We have the, and you know, when you look at certain things, you do one thing, if you clean up one part, you look again and say, oh wow, I didn't know that had as much dirt as it did. You come in the hallway and now you say, whoa, something has to be done with the hallway because we've done something here. And we want a place, a religious place, where we come to make salah. If we brought the President of the United States in here, if we brought the Shah from another country or something here, we would want to want them to come into something that which we worship in, to be as clean as we can make it, to be as beautiful as we can make it, to be as much as we can make it. I was mentioning to a brother and sister, I said, every place I have ever lived in, rented, wasn't mine, I rented. I tried to beautify. See, I came up in a family that thought like that, and then when I got into the Nation of Islam, that's all we talked about. You don't go into an apartment that's not yours, and it looks bad, and you leave it bad. You don't do that. You don't raise your family in that kind of environment. You go in there, you take whatever you got, you make it the best you can make it, and you build it up till you blessed and Allah bless you with your own home. You make everything that Allah gives you more beautiful. And I truly believe that the more emphasis we put on making this a more beautiful place for us here, Allah may bless us with something even bigger and better than this. Nothing is out of Allah's reach. It's just our own imagination and our own limited thought. We must have confidence and do as Allah tells us to do. The masjid, its upkeep, is the responsibility of the Muslim. And that's the way we should think. And we want to thank those brothers and sisters so much, Brother Donnell and Umar, and other brothers who have, who has put forth great effort, and many of you who have given. We're not finished now. We got trimming out to do, we got the hallway to do, we're not finished. We're going to make it a place when we come, we're going to feel pleasant. We're going to feel it in our soul because we did it. So we want to thank you all who participated in that. And we want to thank Almighty Allah for blessing us to be here this day on Yom Jumuah to again become closer as brothers and sisters. رابنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة والآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Our Lord, give us the best of this world and the best of the hereafter, and protect us from the fire. Amen. He cometh to
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.